Welcome to Story Mode. My grandfather would have to be the most influential person in my entire life, and without him, I would be nothing like I am today. Welcome to 2003 once again, where we get part 2 of Fast and Furious. Too Fast, Too Furious. Quentin Tarantino gives us the martial arts masterpiece, Kill Bill. We get an all-star cast in the remake of the 1969 classic, The Italian Job.
So loud they blow women's clothes off.
The only threat was the one they never saw coming.
What the hell are you doing?
However, my two favourite movies for 2003 are Old School.
No, I appreciate it, but I told my wife I wouldn't drink tonight. Okay, you know what? Give me that thing. I'll do one. We gonna do one.
Such a classic comedy, and my favourite movie of 2003, and you wouldn't be expecting it, is Love Actually.
Ai não! Ai, meu Deus, eu peço imensa desculpa.
No.
Foi sem querer.
Oh God, it's half the book.
Edward Archibald Wilson, or as I like to call him, GAR. Born 1925, a man who grew up in a depression, served in the Navy at 19, fought in World War II, and upon returning, married my grandmother, Dorothy Wilson. He started his own business selling scrap metal, and at my young, tender age of 13, I didn't see much to be in it. He would work every day, Monday to Friday. He was very strong, a very good man, and very religious. My grandfather, or GAR as us grandkids called him, would be there for us all the time. If we needed anything, he would drop it. Yeah, he did spoil us, all of us. He taught me to ride a bike, drive a car, and to stand up for myself. He bought me my first computer, the Commodore 64, radio control cars such as the Hornet and Frog. But most of all, he believed in me when no one else did, including myself. I guess the biggest thing we did together was open up the video game shop in 1992. That was the most incredible experience I've ever had to this day. Opening up a video game shop at 18, it was nerve-wracking, but with my grandfather by my side, I could take on the world. Yet with this man, I would be nothing like I am today. In 1994, I happened to be working with my grandfather picking up some scrap metal while I had a few days off, just to give him a hand. And at the place, he had a massive heart attack. Luckily enough, the person who owned the metal place knew CPR and got him breathing until the ambulance got there. It would have to be one of the most scariest memories I've ever had. Unfortunately, my grandfather, after getting out of hospital, could never walk again. Well, he could, but he'd need crutches. He couldn't stand on his own 2 feet. One day I was polishing my car at my grandparents' house. My grandfather came out. He had kind of a trolley at that stage, the walker. And he was sitting down on the chair and he said, "Jop, don't worry about money, don't worry about cars or anything. Worry about your health. That is first and foremost. And never live life in regret. If you want to do something, do it now, because life's over before you blink." That stuck with me forever, and that was back in 1994. Fast forward to 2003, and Mandy and I were over at my grandparents' house just for dinner, just to catch up with them. And it was like normal, laughing and telling jokes. And then my grandfather says to me, "Have you still got that yellow GTR?" And I said, "Of course, I'll never sell it. All the hard work I put into it, never." And he said, "You're gonna have to sell it if you want that Honda NX." That's what he'd call the Honda NSX. And I said, yes, I know. The Honda NSX maybe one day, who knows. After dessert, it was time to leave. And as we were saying goodbyes, my grandfather went into another room and he kind of called me over and said he wants to talk to me alone. This kind of freaked me out. What's he going to say? And he said, just sit down for a minute. And he said, are you going to marry Mandy? And I said, of course. I just said, there's been always one thing or the other, and life's just going so fast. And he said, okay. And this Honda NSX, why must you have it? I said, GAR, it's my favourite car. From 1991, I had a poster on my wall. That's the only car I ever wanted. Everyone else had Lamborghinis or Ferraris. And look, I love Ferrari mainly because of Outrun, but I wanted this car, the Honda NSX. It's everything to me. And then he said, okay. And then he said, what about you and Mandy buy the house off me, and then get the car later on. Sell these other cars and buy your NSX and have your house and live a happy life. I said to him, look, we've got a bit of money in the bank and we're ready to go to the bank and buy the house. We're not too far away. He goes, okay, Jop, that's good. Follow your dream and never let anyone tell you you can't have your dreams. And that really did stick with me. He looked me dead in the eye and said that. And I really took that on board. On the way home, I said to Mandy, I want to get married within the year. And Mandy, typical Mandy, said, whatever you want. I'm happy either way, but I would love that. We got home, and once we walked into the front door, we got a call from my grandmother. My grandfather passed away. When GAR passed, I've never felt so numb and so empty. We've all been there, so I'm not exempt from this feeling. I was in disbelief and could not accept that he was gone. Because I didn't see my father, GAR was like a father figure to me, and it's like losing my grandfather and my father at the same time. Without being selfish, I found I lost my identity or my purpose in life, and I felt like a part of me died with GAR. If I could have one wish, it would be to have more video footage of GAR, even my nan. This is their 40th wedding anniversary. It was in 1985 and I remember it like it was yesterday. It's hard to see, but you can see I'm behind my grandfather while everyone does the chicken dance. And I'm so glad I was by his side until the end. And the most precious memory I have of him is when he mentioned my cousin and me.
To my lovely grandchildren, which I would not be without.
After the funeral, I felt numb and cold. It really put life into perspective, not just for me, but for Mandy as well. Within months, I went from 50 hours a week to 10 hours a week. I couldn't work properly and I couldn't even concentrate, and eventually lost my position of anti-hacker. After a few months later, the will had to be read, and we all went down there as a family, and most of the will went to my grandmother, and some to the children, and then some to the grandchildren. I couldn't care, I just wanted him back. It was split up across the family. Mandy and I got the house we were living in fairly cheaply, and we would just have to buy out the rest of the family, which wasn't too hard. This meant we had to get a loan from the bank, and fast. So we went to the bank, showed the deposit we saved up and the price we were getting the house, which was a lot cheaper than most of the houses in the area. The lady said you could easily borrow that and more. So we did, and we bought something extra. Yes, several months later, I finally got the Honda NSX and I started working for an insurance company with Mandy. But this Honda NSX was going to be the symbol of my grandfather, and I would keep it forever. Mandy and I were working very hard, and I knew sooner or later one of the GTRs would have to go.
Take me to the source of my own sadness. Lead me to the land I love so well. Let me feel the motion of the water, and I will softly sail, and I will softly sail until my love and land and life are one.